Welcome to Deep Dive with KitePod, brought to you in collaboration with Dork Company, where we explore the most innovative companies shaping the future. Every episode, we explore the stories behind startups, diving into their challenges, successes, and the exciting ways they're reshaping the future. Stay tuned for inspiring conversations that will leave you motivated to pursue your own big ideas. Curious to learn more? Head over to venturekites.com for the full article on today's featured company. Let's get started.
All right, so today we're diving headfirst into the world of quantum computing.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild world.
It really is, and we're focusing on a company that's kind of a new kid on the block, but making big waves, C12 Quantum Electronics.
They're definitely shaking things up.
And they're working with some seriously cool tech, carbon nanotubes. I mean, come on, who doesn't love a good nanotube, right?
Well, they're not exactly household names yet, but they should be. These things are tiny. We're talking microscopic cylinders of carbon atoms, but their potential is massive.
Okay, so I'm already intrigued, but let's back up a bit for our listeners who might not be familiar with C12. What's their deal?
In a nutshell, they're using these carbon nanotubes to build quantum computers.
Quantum computers, they're like supercomputers of the future, right?
Exactly. Imagine a computer that can solve problems in minutes, that would take even the most powerful classical computers thousands or even millions of years.
Okay, hold up. That sounds straight out of Star Trek. What kind of problems are we talking about here?
Think like drug discovery, designing completely new materials, cracking even the most complex encryption codes.
So basically, they could revolutionize tons of industries.
Exactly. That's why there's so much buzz around quantum computing right now. It's a potential game changer in so many fields.
Okay, so back to C12. How did they even get started in this whole quantum race? I mean, it's not like you just whip up a quantum computer in your garage, right?
Definitely not. It all started in a lab, actually, at the very prestigious École Normale Supérieure in Paris. Two twin brothers, Matthieu and Pierre Desjardins, were doing research there, mentored by Takis Kantos, a huge name in quantum research. And they had this, radical idea.
Ooh, I love radical ideas. What was their grand vision?
They believed that carbon nanotubes, these little guys, held the key to overcoming some of the biggest obstacles in quantum computing.
Obstacles, you mean besides figuring out how to build a computer out of something you can barely even see?
Exactly. See, quantum computers, they're still in their early stages. They're super finicky, prone to errors, super delicate. You gotta, handle them with kid gloves.
So how do you even begin to address that?
That's where the magic of carbon nanotubes comes in. They have this amazing property called reduced decoherence. Basically, it means they're much less susceptible to noise from the environment, which can really mess up those delicate quantum states.
So carbon nanotubes are like the noise-canceling headphones of the quantum world.
That's actually a great analogy. They create a more stable, controlled environment for those quantum bits or qubits to do their thing.
Qubits, those are like the building blocks of quantum information, right?
You got it. They're like the zeros and ones of traditional computers, but way more powerful because they can be in multiple states at the same time. And because of how C12 is building their processors with these carbon nanotubes, they have the potential to pack way more qubits onto a chip.
So more qubits equal more computing power, right?
You got it. And that's a big deal because right now, one of the biggest challenges in quantum computing is scalability.
Scalability meaning?
Being able to build bigger and better quantum computers with more qubits without sacrificing performance. And it seems like C12 might just have cracked that code.
Okay, so they've got the tech, they've got the vision, but are people actually buying into it?
Well, they've managed to attract some serious attention, and I'm not just talking about scientific circles. Investors are lining up.
Okay, now we're talking investors, like money people, because building a quantum computer can't be cheap.
You're telling me. But C12, they're not hurting for funds. They just secured a massive Series A funding round.
All right, so we're talking big money here. How massive are we talking?
A cool $19.3 million.
Whoa! Now that's some serious cash.
It is. And it shows just how much faith people have in C12's vision. To put it into perspective, the entire quantum computing market is projected to reach nearly $7 billion by 2032.
So C12 is poised to be a major player in this booming industry.
They're definitely one to watch.
Sorry to interrupt the podcast, but we wanted to share about Dork Company. They are the business development company that took our vision for Venture Kites and made it a reality. From concept to execution, they handle it all, end to end. Whether you're starting from scratch or looking to scale, Dork Company is your partner in turning ideas into successful ventures. Let them handle the details so you can focus on innovation. Visit dorkcompany.com today and bring your ideas to life.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've got quantum computers, carbon nanotubes, twin brothers with a big dream, and a whole lot of money pouring into this field. What's next for C12? I mean, how do they actually plan to turn all this potential into, like, tangible results? So how do they actually do it? How do you even begin to build something with these, like, microscopic nanotubes?
Well, it's all about precision, right?
Precision. Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
can barely thread a needle.
Think way smaller. They've developed this, get this, patented nano-assembly technology.
Okay, now you're just using big words to make me feel dumb. What does that even mean?
It's not as complicated as it sounds. Imagine a robotic arm, but we're talking like crazy small, smaller than a human hair, carefully picking up and placing each carbon nanotube onto a silicon chip.
Wait, so each nanotube individually placed? That's insane.
It's pretty mind-blowing. And that's not even the coolest part. They use these isotopically purified carbon atoms to make their nanotubes.
Isotopically. Purified. You're losing me again.
I told you, they're taking it to the next level. So even carbon atoms, the basic building blocks of, well, pretty much everything, they can have these slight variations called isotopes. Some isotopes, they're a bit more, let's say, sensitive to their surroundings.
Sensitive? You mean like they get stage fright?
Kind of. They're more susceptible to noise from the environment, and that can mess with those fragile quantum states we talked about.
Okay, so by using those super pure carbon nanotubes, they're essentially silencing the noise.
You got it. They're creating this, like, pristine environment for their processors to do those crazy quantum calculations.
Okay, I think I'm starting to wrap my head around this, but let's bring it back down to earth for a second. All this talk of quantum this and nanotube that, what's the real world impact? Let's say C12 actually pulls this off. What changes?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, right?
Really, probably.
Right? Think about material science. We could design materials with properties we've never even dreamed of before. Stronger, lighter aircraft, solar panels that are, like, ridiculously efficient.
Okay, those are some pretty compelling examples. Anything else?
Are you kidding? We're just getting started. Personalized medicine. Imagine drugs tailored to your unique genetic code.
All right, now you're just blowing my mind. This is getting straight up sci-fi.
It is, kind of, but that's the thing about quantum computing. It has the potential to completely reshape the world as we know it. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Think about artificial intelligence. Quantum computers could analyze huge amounts of data in the blink of an eye.
Okay, hold up. I need a minute to process all of this. But all this power, I mean, it can't all be good, right? There have to be some downsides, some risks involved.
You're absolutely right to be thinking about that. There are always two sides to every coin. One of the biggest concerns is definitely cybersecurity.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, if these quantum computers can crack codes like it's nothing.
Exactly. Imagine what would happen if someone got their hands on that kind of power and used it for malicious purposes.
Okay, so it's not all sunshine and roses then. What are we doing to, like, protect ourselves?
Well, the good news is that researchers are already working on it. They're developing new encryption methods that are way more robust and hopefully quantum-proof.
So it's like a tech arms race.
Exactly. It's a constant back and forth. But that's how innovation works, right? Pushing the boundaries, finding new solutions.
True, true. But back to C12. I mean, they're obviously brilliant, but building something this complex takes more than just brain power, right? What kind of support do they have behind them?
Well, first off, they've got this amazing team, like world-renowned scientists and engineers, the best of the best.
Okay, so the brain trust is covered. What else?
They're not just working in isolation. They've got these really strategic partnerships, like big names in the game.
Like who? Give me some names.
Well, for starters, the European Innovation Council.
They're a big deal, right?
Huge. They're a major research funding body, and they clearly see the potential in what C12 is doing. And then there's their partnership with OVH Cloud.
OVH Cloud, that rings a bell.
They're one of the leading cloud computing companies in Europe.
Okay, so we're talking serious computing power.
Right. So you've got the brains, the technology, the support.
And don't forget the funding. We were talking about some serious cash earlier. How much have they actually raised?
Well, hold on to your hats.
Spill it. How much are we talking here?
Their seed funding back in 2021, they got a cool $10 million.
10 million? That's not bad.
No, not at all. And that got them some serious attention. Airbus Ventures even invested.
Wow, they're really attracting some big names.
They are, and it didn't stop there. The next year, they got a grant from the European Innovation Council. That's a really big deal.
Yeah, that's like the European Union putting their money where their mouth is when it comes to research, right?
Exactly. It shows they believe in C12's potential, and then boom, 2024, their Series A funding round.
Okay, drum roll, please. How much did they rake in?
$19.3 million.
All right, now that's what I call making moves. They're definitely playing in the big leagues now.
Absolutely, and they're just getting started.
Okay, so as we wrap up our deep dive into C12 Quantum Electronics, I'm kind of speechless. It seems like they're on the verge of something truly groundbreaking.
They really are. It's amazing to think that these tiny carbon nanotubes, things most people have never even heard of, could hold the key to solving some of the world's biggest problems.
Right. And it just goes to show innovation can come from anywhere. Sometimes the smallest things can have the biggest impact.
Absolutely. That's what's so exciting about this field. It's constantly evolving, pushing boundaries. Who knows what breakthroughs are just around the corner?
Exactly. So to our listeners, keep an eye on C12 Quantum Electronics because they're definitely a company to watch in the years to come. And who knows, maybe one day we'll all have a quantum computer powered by carbon nanotubes sitting on our desks.
Or even in our pockets.
The future is going to be wild.
That brings us to the end of today's episode. If today's episode inspired you, be sure to check out the complete story and more exciting articles over at venturekites.com. Don't forget to subscribe to Deep Dive with KitePod for more stories on groundbreaking startups and innovations. See you in the next episode.